Ask you kindly if you could repeat like the main points about the presentation you had.
This presentation was about the American Archive of Public Broadcasting, which is a cooperation, partnership collaborative between the Library of Congress and WGBH in Boston. WGBH being the preeminent public television station in the United States. We produce about 30% of what goes out on PBS in the national air. The Library of Congress is a long-standing federal institution that preserves materials for the United States government. We embarked on this collaboration to preserve materials from public media across the country, both TV and radio. We have an initial collection of 40,000 hours of digital files from a digitization project, which the library is ingesting. The library's main focus for the project is going to be preserving these materials for long term, and WGBH is going to be access to the materials through a website and through outreach from the stations. You want to add anything?
And the materials come from all over the U.S. They were selected not by us, but by 100 different stations all over the U.S. Our first phase, as Karen mentioned, is preservation and opening up the website. The next phase, and this is what I talked about, is how do we make it more usable for scholars. We're making it available for research purposes, for teaching, and so we're exploring that. We have a lot of material in the archive that was produced by local stations all over the country that's never been seen by anybody outside of those areas. So we want to explore how to connect all of this local material together that might be about the same topic, might be about how feminism spread through the U.S. in the 70s, might be different in Montana than it was in New York City. Things like that we want to explore.
And I talked a little bit about our website development and about metadata and how we're making materials available in our online reading room. So generally, how we're going to make this material discoverable when we don't have very good metadata currently, and when there are some copyright issues that we have to navigate. So that's what we're working together on, and that's what I talked about in my presentation.
Is the website free? Like all users just can see the contents for free, or how is it working?
All of the metadata on the website is open and available for free to anybody worldwide. The 40,000 hours of digital material, the proxies for those 40,000 hours are available on site to anybody at WGBH or at the Library of Congress Reading Room in Washington. We are about to launch about 6,000 items that will be available to the general public through the website in the U.S. only at the moment. There is a geo-block as we continue to work through the rights issues and figure out what the programs actually are before we can expose them to the entire world.
How do you select which contexts are available online and which not? How do you do the selection?
So we started out with very minimal metadata, like I said, so we didn't know much about each of the items that we digitized. But as Alan said, 100 different stations participated, and a lot of the stations submitted like more than 10 episodes of one series. So what we did first was we went back to all of the stations and asked them for permission to make the materials available for research, educational, and informational purposes on the website. And but then sometimes there could be, third-party materials. So beyond what the station gave us permission to do, we need to make an analysis of the content. So we have identified a lot of different buckets of content, different topics and formats like news coverage, public performances of music, educational lectures, debates, and some of these categories we feel are a better fair use case in making them available, and some of them are a little bit more risky. So that's how we're making those determinations.
What role cross-media archive are going to have in the future, maybe? Do you know about?
My opinion, in the future, I think audiovisual collections in the future will be the evidence for history for our time period. I mean, I think right now that's what is being covered in the news. That's where events are being covered, is in audiovisual, oral histories, interviews, news materials, and I think that in the future historians are going to be looking at this material to know about our time and our heritage.